Every generation, a film comes out that redefines how we view the human spirit, that shows that even though some may come from entirely different walks of life, that we are all the same in the end. This year, the Golden Raspberry Award nominated actor Justice Smith and MTV Movie Award winner Ryan Reynolds are teaming up to bring us all the film that will define a generation. From the inspirational mind behind timeless classics like Gulliver's Travels and Shark Tale comes seminal director Rob Letterman's next masterpiece, Pokémon Detective Pikachu. Okay, that might be a bit of an oversell, but for people that grew up with the Pokemon franchise, that feeling's not far off. Admit it, you still get choked up every time you think about that scene in the first Pokemon movie where Ash gets turned to stone, and then Pikachu keeps trying to wake him up, and he won't wake up. Pikachu starts to cry, and I can't, okay? I just can't. It still hurts too much. Okay, sorry about that. So, with millions of people still emotionally invested in the massively successful franchise, it's no wonder that Hollywood is finally getting around to making a movie about it. The movie looks like it will take a drastic turn from the source material, but will actually be pretty faithful to the portrayals of the Pokemon themselves. You might be wondering how many of these Pokemon will actually make an appearance in the movie? The answer is a lot. So let's go ahead and look at the confirmed Pokemon that have appeared in the first two trailers. Number 1, Pikachu. This one would be pretty obvious even if his name wasn't in the title. Pikachu is by far the most notable Pokemon and is basically the mascot of the entire franchise. Not only does the character appear prominently in the video games, the anime, the manga, and the films, but he's also one of the original characters in the massively popular Super Smash Bros. Franchise. Chances are his inclusion in this film will cause a resurgence of Pikachu pillows, stuffed animals, toys, and everything else you can think of. They might outgross the movie on merchandise alone. This film looks to have a far different version from the one featured in the popular anime. For one, he's a Sherlock Holmes-style detective. I really hope there's a Sherlock-style detective moment where you have all the clues shown in hovering text just floating around in the air. It'd be awesome. He apparently wakes up one day with amnesia wearing a deerstalker hat that has the address of Tim's missing father inside. Tim is the guy played by Justice Smith. The two of them strike up a partnership to find his father and solve whatever mysteries at the center of the film. While Pikachu retains his Pika voice when talking to others, when he's talking to Tim, he's voiced by Deadpool himself, Ryan Reynolds. The actor is known for having a lot of fun with the viral marketing campaign of his movies. He appeared in costume as Deadpool so many times, it's hard to count. And this attitude seems to be applied to Detective Pikachu as well. He's already released a hilarious video about his Daniel Day-Lewis style method going into the Pikachu role. If Reynolds is channeling his Deadpool energy into this role, it's safe to assume that this interpretation is going to be hilarious. Number 2, Charizard. If you asked every 90s kid who their favorite Pokemon was when they were in elementary school, chances are a good deal of them would answer Charizard. He was the featured Pokemon on the cover of the famous Pokemon Red video game, one of the primary Pokemon in the early days of the anime and manga, and is also heavily featured in the Smash Bros. Franchise. If Pikachu is the franchise's cute mascot, Charizard is the resident bad boy. Detective Pikachu seems to be diving into the bad boy image hard. The movie version of the character looks to be a seasoned Street Fighter of some kind. He looks a bit like the Pokemon version of Tyler Durden. The scarred and formidable dragon goes head-to-head against our detective, who quickly seems to regret getting into a fight with him in the first place. I'll have to go find my Charizard Pokemon card to take him with me to the movie. Well, I mean, at least I would have if my mom hadn't sold them all at a garage sale. It's okay, Ma. I said I'm over it. I'm over it. Number 3, Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime may not be anyone's favorite Pokemon, but it looks like this film is going to try and change that. From the context of the trailers, it seems like Mr. Mime is a witness or an accomplice of some sort. Pikachu and Tim attempt to capture and interrogate him, and it goes poorly, in what looks to be the most hilarious way possible. The writers behind the film clearly had a great time coming up with bits for the silent Pokemon's mime shtick. He's seen miming out a tell-off to the detective during a tense interrogation. In another scene, he tries to make a slow speed escape on an imaginary motorcycle that ends on an equally slow wreck. Expect several more scenes like this to come. If this bit is featured so heavily in both trailers, it's likely that the filmmakers will milk it for all it's worth. Number 4. Psyduck. Most people recognize Psyduck as one of Misty's Pokemon in the original anime. It's not an incredibly helpful one, though it did have its moments. It usually just popped out of its Pokeball with no warning for comic effect. The Psyduck in the trailers for Detective Pikachu seems to have about the same attitude as far as staying in its Pokeball is concerned. Psyduck appears to be the primary Pokemon of Catherine Newton's character, Lucy. He's seen on her back and looking over her shoulder as she rides in the car with Detective Pikachu and Tim. Technically, Psyduck is a powerful psychic-style Pokemon. He could provide a great help by psychically probing suspects and witnesses that are involved in whatever mystery seems to be afoot. It's much more likely that the character will be resigned to the comic relief like the anime version though. He's pretty much just here for the facepalms. Number 5. Mewtwo. By far the biggest surprise of the second trailer was the surprise cameo in the ending seconds. The most legendary of the legendary Pokemon, Mewtwo, bursts into the scene with presumably evil intent. It's hard to imagine that Mewtwo wouldn't be in the center of the grand mystery of the film in some way or another. Heck, there's a good chance he'll end up being the film's final villain. Most Pokemon have a pretty standard origin. They're just Pokemon living in the Poke world. But Mewtwo's actually has some weight to it. He was cloned from a Mew by Team Rocket and is designed to be a weapon of sorts for him. He proves to be much too strong to be contained and escapes the situation. This leaves him jaded and scarred though. He turns villainous, but ultimately reforms when he sees that humans aren't all cruel. Unlike most Pokemon, he has a human speaking voice as well. He uses his incredible psychic powers to communicate in regular old English to humans instead of just repeating his name like most Pokemon do. Or in Japanese if you're a subs, not dubs type of person. This means that there is almost certainly an actor cast to voice the role. The British actor Bill Nighy narrates the opening of the first trailer. Now as of yet, we have no idea who he's playing. He's famous for roles like Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. He's the Minister of Magic, Rufus Scrimgeour in Harry Potter, and of course, Billy Mack from Love Actually. He has a wide range of dramatic and comedic skills, so pulling off Mewtwo would be no sweat for him. We'll just have to wait and see as more information arises. What is certain though, is that Mewtwo will make for quite the spectacle. In his first movie appearance, he showed off quite the Dragon Ball Z-esque fighting skills when he squared off against the Mew he was cloned from. This might mean that Pokemon Detective Pikachu is a quasi-remake of the original anime film. That, or they're setting up a massive Nintendo shared universe for a big Avengers-style Super Smash Bros. Movie. Seriously, is every Pokemon in that game in this movie? Number 6, Jigglypuff. Evidently so. This sort of Kirby ripoff Pokemon is going to be making an appearance in the film as well. Not much is known about what role that will be, but from the looks of it, there's going to be some anger involved. Perhaps it has something to do with the big mystery at play, or maybe Reynolds just said something to tick it off. If he's got any of the Deadpool energy, this seems pretty plausible. Regardless, it's highly likely that we'll see Jigglypuff put someone to sleep with its horrible singing skills. Judging from the Mr. Mime bit, it seems as though they're going to milk the comic potential of the Pokemon for all they're worth. Either that, or it will attack Pikachu with a dirty down B attack right when it was about to win. If so, I feel your pain, Pikachu. I feel your pain. Number 7, Greninja. For the most part, the newer generation of Pokemon aren't as popular as their older counterparts. There really aren't many Pokemon from the later games that get the same kind of love that characters like Pikachu and Charizard get. One notable exception though is Greninja. Greninja is a Generation 6 Pokemon from Pokemon X and Y. He's the final evolution of starter Pokemon Froakie and has become a bit of a fan favorite since his initial debut. He's one of Ash's Pokemon in the anime, and he's also made it into the Smash Bros. Roster. Now, there will be a big screen version, or versions that will seemingly play a pretty heavy role. There are multiple shots where it seems like Greninja is chasing Pikachu and Tim. It looks as though the Greninja are agents of whatever baddie is pulling the strings. As far as henchmen, for evil doings, Greninja are a pretty good choice. They're very nimble and jumpy, so they'll likely make for great chase scenes. Number 8, Squirtle and Pancham. The main mystery might involve Tim's missing father, but it seems as though some Pokemon are missing as well. We've seen multiple shots of a bulletin board with missing posters of Squirtle and Pancham. These might just be random Pokemon, but it's distractingly possible that one, or even both of them, might have a personal relationship with Detective Pikachu to raise the stakes. We still don't have much of an idea who could be behind this whole Pokemon capturing conspiracy. It's really too bad that the franchise doesn't have an evil criminal organization that we could speculate about, you know? Just kidding. It could be Team Rocket, Aqua, Magma, Galactic, Plasma, Flare, Skull, Rainbow Rocket, or really any of the other various bad guy groups that have sprung up over the years. While it's almost certainly going to be some new addition, how great would it be to see a live-action Team Rocket? Can you imagine a world where Chelsea Peretti and Billy Eichner are Jesse and James? You put Danny DeVito in there as Meowth? Why don't I work at Hollywood? Number 9, Snubbull. Despite being a Japanese property, there doesn't seem to be a lot of Japanese actors in the film. Luckily, we have Ken Watanabe in there to play Detective Yoshida, because apparently he can't get enough of American movies based around Japanese monster franchises. Is it too much for him to say, let them fight at least once? From the looks of it, he's joined by a Pokemon partner, Snubbull. While Snubbull isn't the most famous Pokemon, he certainly looks perfect as a grim-faced Pokecop. Also, if there isn't a Dick Wolf created spin-off about Detective Yoshida and his Snubbull partner, what are they even doing? What would be the Law and Order Pokemon equivalent? I'd say Battles and Badges. Seriously, Hollywood, I'm ready whenever you are. Number 10, just all the Pokemon, okay? There are just so many Pokemon in this movie, you guys. It wouldn't be surprising if all 807 of them were in the movie in some form or another. So we're gonna go full lightning round. Start the clock, here we go. Bulbasaur and Morlul walking down a stream, Lickitung on a plane, Cubone leaping from a Pokeball, Apom looking real mad, Flareon looking real in charge with statues of Palkia and Dialga beside him, Ludicolo tending bar, with Gengar and Blastoise fighting in the stadium while Squirtle, Rufflet, Loudred, Magikarp, Rattata, Trico, Clefairy, Octillery, and Audino all watch. Meanwhile, Flabébé, Comfey, Fearow, Braviary, Dodrio, Buffalon, Charmander, Amalga, Joltik, Golurt, Growlithe, Arcanine, Poncham, Slaking, and Snorlax are all hanging out in Rhyme City. Take that, Nintendo. Okay, I need to focus on. So, there are all the Pokemon we know are in the movie so far. Chances are, though, you're going to have to bring your Pokedex into the theater with you because there are probably going to be so many more. Just as long as they don't include Jinx. No one wants to see a live-action Jinx. Not anyone who ever wants to sleep again, that is. What do you think? Who's your favorite Pokemon that you'd like to see in the movie? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.